नमस्कार. आयच्या या खाशेल्या कार्यावळीत तुमकां सगळ्यांक येवकार. आज फक्त फोमेंतो मिडिया खातीर न्ही जाल्यार गोंयच्या जर्नलिजमा खातीर आनी मिडिया स्पेसा खातीर एक अत्यंत म्हत्वाचो दीस. आज आमचे दोन न्यूजपेपर्स जे आसात, गोवन आनी गोवन वार्ता हांचे देशांतले एक नामनेचे मिडिया हाऊस, वन ऑफ द ओल्डेस्ट मिडिया हाऊसेस, तांचे बरोबर एक जो कॉन्टेंट शेअरिंगाचो करार जाला आनी ताका लागून देशांतलो बऱ्यांतलो बरो कंटेंट हो तुमकां आमच्या द गोवन आनी गोवन वार्ता ह्या दोनूय पेपरांचेर फाल्यां सावन सदांच वाचपाक मेळटलो. त्याच बरोबर आमचे सिंधुदुर्गांतले जे तुगेले आमचे पेपर आसात कोकणसाद, तांचोय बी तांच्या नवशक्ती ह्या मराठी पेपरा बरोबर करार जाला. ह्या कंटेंट शेअरिंगाचे बारकावे कितें आनी त्याच बरोबर न्यूजपेपर एज एन इंडस्ट्री आनी मिडिया एज एन इंडस्ट्री आनी न्यू एज मिडिया ह्या सगळ्या गजाली कडेन ही नवीन मेट्रोपॉलिटन मिडिया कशी पळयता. म्हजे बरोबर स्टुडियो भितर दोन गेस्ट आसात. पयली आसा आनी दोन्ही प्रमोटर्स फ्री प्रेस जर्नलाचे अभिषेक कर्नानी आणि अशोक कर्नानी. बोथ ऑफ यू वेलकम. अशोक जी, आय विल स्टार्ट विथ यू with a very simple question that we have got into this agreement. A big media house like yours, you are tying up with us. We are a small state with a big heart. So how do you look at this?
We are coming to a new territory. That is how I look at it.
Abhishek ji, how are you looking at this?
So for us, we believe that, I believe ultimately it's all news industry is all going to be about collaboration, and to get something so localized from Goa vis-a-vis how we can take the national interest news from Goa to Bombay to the national media. That is how we are looking at it.
Ashok ji, tell us about the journey and how when you took over as promoters, what are the changes that you had to make? Because when you are an organization which is close to 100 years old and precisely 94 years old right now, what are the changes that you had to adapt to, and how did you take a different perspective towards this business?
See, when I took charge in 92, the same time Samir Jain took charge of the Economic Times. So we both were floating on the. They had a big bank balance, and they could spend a lot of money, which they are doing now also, and killing the small newspapers. Whenever a newspaper comes, they project one newspaper and see that till the time it is killed, it has come. So we were just trying to float with it. But when this COVID happened, that time the Chief Minister Maharashtra had stopped the publication for 23 days.
Yeah.
That time everybody was not wanting to take the call to get the newspaper at home. That time we transformed to digital platform and saw that it is delivered authentically through our medium, so that there is no dispute on the sharing of the newspapers like all the other media were doing it. And then we succeeded in it, and today we are posting about 1 lakh copies every day through our mechanism, and by that we got another good number of printed copies, because we could market our product and the people liked our product and hence started purchasing also. This was a myth that if PDF copies are circulated, the print copies sales comes down. No, it is the other way. If your product is right, it will sell then also.
Very interesting topic, Abhishek ji. When it's a very interesting thing. Usually we all are very shy of sharing our digital content free of cost on multiple platforms, and basically WhatsApp. The fear is that we as entrepreneurs, we like paywalls. You decided to take the paywall down, and then you are saying that you got a reverse benefit of that, taking that paywall down for the print division. How does that work?
So Pramod, we were very clear when the pandemic, struck, and we saw that so many fake news were going around on WhatsApp. You did not know what to believe, what not to believe. There were stories which said, the tigers were left open in Russia so that people would not come out of the house. So, I believe to counter fake news, we were very, very clear that we want to make sure that people get authentic news from branded source. So branded source comes, probably journalists like you all, I believe media houses like us. So we were very clear, and we said that, probably till this does not get over, our motto would be to fight the fake news, and which, we have been doing, and, showing the results also.
But how does that work? How does the digital outreach benefit the print division? Because that's a very interesting thought process. Usually we are shy of it because we all believe that the money comes from print, and digital, although it is the fastest growing medium, is not yet that lucrative.
So Pramod, if you actually, probably there is so much happening on social media. If you do not have a synergy of your traditional and your new age media, you will not be giving a holistic picture to the readers. And the whole idea is that even if I believe the credibility is on the printed content, but the amplification comes from digital media. So that, probably has been a beautiful, I believe, synergy between the traditional and the print media. It's how one perceives it. If one perceives it to be a threat, you could, stay away from it. But we have taken the other route, where we say that our amplification of our news will be through the social media, and that's probably, and for us it is all about making impact. So today it is not about only just giving news, it is how do you impact the person's life. So this has really helped us probably to do I believe take our motto ahead.
Ashokji, how do you look at it? Because this is a very, very interesting thought process, because everybody says that with the advent of digital and not only a new age media, but new age generation also, that print will falter. Print will falter in terms of numbers, print will falter in terms of business. But you are giving us a different perspective. How does that work?
See, there are two. The people are divided in two. The people with less than 30 years of age and people with more than 30 years of age. So as on date, if people who are less than 30 years of age, they just don't want to touch the newspaper. They get the alternate source of news and their requirement, and they are not that much news savvy also. They want not just hard news, they want soft news. So hence they are not interested in this media. So we have to cater all the people to sell the newspaper between 30 plus ages. So hence, and there are people who still are telling me today if I don't get a newspaper in the morning, I feel incomplete. So hence this will slower the sales, but will not erode the sales.
Abhishek ji, how do you look at it? Slower the sales but will not erode the sales, number one. Number two, when we talk about digital, do you think that the business is shifting from print to digital, or it is only the eyeballs are shifting from print to digital?
So Pramod, actually, probably it is all about integrated media these days. I believe a touch point. So today it is not about where your readers are. So wherever your readers are, you have to be there. It's not that readers will come to you. So if my readers are probably on different platforms, we will have to go and probably give information or news to them. So it could be aggregated platforms, it could be short video platforms, it could be our newspaper, it could be our website. So it's more about the brand than about the platform. So that's how we look at it.
But one important aspect of that outreach also is as far as the digital medium is concerned. We have seen many newspapers getting into the foray of the short 1-minute videos or 2-minute videos, although they are predominantly print. Are you trying to experiment with such kind of a medium, and why? Why are the newspapers feeling the need to venture into quote unquote our area?
No, it is Pramod. It is all about, I believe. So one, that on the digital platform, people are news are being snagged. So you would keep probably snacking news. So you'll have to look at that. Anything which is more analytical, which is more opinionated, people would still go to probably branded sources like the newspapers, or probably the TV broadcasting channel websites. So that's where that's how probably it's differentiated. And so you'll have to find your own readers. You'll have to find them, and then you probably ultimately it is not that probably it is the loyalty that you have to get to of them to your platform. It could be through getting it from other platforms to your platform, but it's all about your brand that you're promoting.
Ashok, how do you think COVID has changed the nature of business? Because we had legacies which run into decades, and suddenly we are hit by a pandemic, and our entire perspective towards life changes. Forget about looking at the business. So how do you think that has changed?
COVID has taken away the advertisers from the newspapers, because the biggest drawback pre-COVID and now is the sales of any newspaper is not what it was pre-COVID. It is maximum they have got 60% of their sales, not more than that. And the advertisement rates they are charging at the 100%. So which is not lucrative for the advertisers. This is the biggest drawback. And the another drawback is, suppose if you have sold your product for 1 year without advertising, so now they don't feel that there is a need to advertise. This is the biggest change in stance of the advertisers, and which is creating a very big disturbance in our newspaper revenues.
Yeah. Well, Abhishek ji, how to respond to that? Because that's a very critical question, kind of a survival question.
So it is, what is also happening, if you see, I believe the advertising pie, I believe people spending on total advertising budget, has been shifting to digital also. So what digital used to be once upon a time, I believe a very short, percentage of the total media spend, which has increased. So obviously, probably digital is it, but it is not only that, probably digital is the, still a very, maybe a single digit for most of the traditional media. It is still a single digit revenue source, but but it is looking at the future. It's not that you have to stick to what you have to look at future. How New York Times have done it, probably they have integrated their digital very beautifully, and still probably they're selling more copies than what they used to sell earlier, and probably digital is helping them to take it to I believe beyond where they could reach also.
One important aspect, because you mentioned New York Times also, is about the subscription model and the paywalls. Do you think we as a society, the Indian, predominantly the Indian reader, may it be from vernacular, regional or national or English, do you think we are ready as a society for a subscription based model? Because that is something that New York Times aggressively tried to do, and to a large extent succeeded.
So, one that New York Times, the quality of content that they give, probably that is when they are able to charge it. So once we are able to give that sort of a content, I believe our society per se, now that small, probably, booking your tickets, booking your movie tickets, those small habits are changing. So I'm sure if we can add value to people, but it cannot be a commodity business. Once you add value to people, there would be people, wanting to buy that sort of a content, which is, in-depth research articles, I believe complete exclusive stories. There 100% there is, probably future is going to be that you'll have to pay to, probably get that sort of a well-researched articles.
So you can envisage such kind of a attitude shift, perspective shift in terms of Indian readers also. So it's possible. You are saying a subscription model, there can be small outlets or big outlets, media ventures, which will be driven by subscriptions.
Surely, Pramod. But I believe. But again, I emphasize that you have to give value for if you are going to be charging.
The
anything.
content is king.
The content is king.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Ashokji, how do you look at it? Because this subscription model is something. We come from a age where we subscribe newspapers, and suddenly we are trying to tell people that subscribe a virtual news portal, and we will provide value to you. Do you think our society is ready for that kind of a shift? Some small news outlets, news ventures or media ventures have tried doing it successfully, but is it enough?
It will take a lot of time till our literacy is more. No, people will not pay for it. Our total circulation to our population is hardly anything.
Yeah.
That is the big problem. So your people, if you have less number of buyer, how will you charge them more money? You have to have more people and less money, then only it sells. This is a very big problem in our country, to charge, because we have very less number of people. And today also
We are we are largest subsidized market as far as the
and
cost of newspaper is
today
concerned.
also what happens, suppose people like in Bombay, people are having a subscription model where you subscribe for a paper, the vendors induce you get the full Raddi value from the subscription. This is how people are selling papers.
Yeah.
Not for reading they are selling.
But this point, Abhishek ji, we are one of the most subsidized industry when it comes to cover price of a newspaper compared to other nations, including our neighboring countries. How do you look at it? Suppose tomorrow somebody decides to raise the cover price, do you think readers would be willing to pay for it?
So for that, the industry has to come together, Pramod. I believe ultimately it is all about collective
But you
effort.
tried it pre-COVID and post-COVID. You increased the cover price of your newspaper, and to a large extent, you managed to hold on to your readers.
Yes, so obviously, because again, when you're giving quality content, people are ready to pay. But beyond that, you can, come to a level playing field. But beyond that, probably it has to be a, I believe, cohesive industry, players together. They have to take a call, at least where the production cost is taken care by the cover price. Then it becomes a level playing field. Otherwise, probably it won't be, till the time, the industry comes together.
Well, I read one of your interviews and you said that Free Press Journal has successfully broken the entry-level barrier vis-a-vis the Times of India.
Yes.
What do you mean by breaking of that entry-level barrier?
So what used to happen is that in a city like Bombay, it would be very difficult to penetrate into a household. I believe you cannot see unless until you sample my paper. You will not be able to. You will not say whether I like it or don't like it. Such was the case in Bombay. I believe bigger banners, national dailies also came to Bombay, but could not dent too much. But then all of a sudden, pandemic struck. And now there was no entry barrier. We could send our copies to people through WhatsApps, and people were hungry for newspapers because it was not coming. And that's when people started sampling our newspaper. They started liking it, so that translated into more circulation for us than what it was pre-COVID also. So that's
Yeah, Ashok ji.
One more thing happened during COVID. No, all the papers were available at the same platform.
Yeah.
So people could compare.
There was an absolute level playing field.
People could compare,
Yeah.
and that's where we got in.
Yeah. Suddenly, everybody came on the same platform at the same level
At
during
the same
COVID.
very moment was able to read all the 5 products in Mumbai.
Yes, and compare them with each
Yes.
other.
So whosoever was the fittest to survive.
Yeah. So that's actually very interesting. Abhishek ji, that was the most interesting thing. Suddenly, we all usually competing in a very brutal market. Suddenly, we are all on the same platform.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
reader could just click on anything and just compare that how we have treated a story vis-a-vis how somebody else has treated a story.
So it used to be actually, probably the number one would flex their muscles and, probably make sure that, that none of the other publications, I believe players survive. And that's what used to happen. And that's the reason, probably the hawkers would never, go against them, even if they wanted to promote any other publication. But here came the WhatsApp, here came, probably the COVID, and, probably everyone was, and because we also have a very good talent of journalists, that showed that, the amount of work that we did during COVID, we collaborated with so many other social media platforms, and we started giving, impacting the society, and that's, why, I believe people come back to us.
Ashokji, with a legacy of 94 years, and including a very, very active and aggressive participation in the freedom movement of India, the paper has a huge legacy, history. What do you think is the next challenge when the paper turns 100? What do you want to see different and differently?
We want to see that we are number 2 in Mumbai.
You're saying that's a very gettable target.
Yes, certainly.
Abhishek ji, when you are exactly 100 years old, a century, what would you like to see?
So, I believe we would like to see that the brand is across all platforms available, wherever the readers are, we are there for them. And, I believe in terms of physical numbers, I believe we want to be a challenger, which, probably that's what we want to do.
I'm tempted to ask you this question because many a times we have realized that all the media groups from across the country, when they look at Goa, they have a very peculiar way of looking at our state. They look at Goa from their own perspective. Do you think, and I can very humbly request you also after this tie-up of ours, can we do a very organized effort to take Goa to India, a metro like Mumbai, from the perspective of we Goans, a very, as I mentioned at the beginning, a small state with a big heart? Abhishek ji.
Yes, Pramod, I believe the whole idea is that, I believe it has to be consistently, I believe, Goa is such a touristic destination for the country, and idea is, to be united and showcase Goa to the world rather than saying, probably, looking at different places differently. So we'll be happy to, the whole idea of this collaboration is a very humble start where we are exchanging information so that we can take Goa in national interest stories to our, Bombay and to the rest of the country. And vis-a-vis, probably if we can give our soft, soft cultural stories, our economy stories, business stories to, I believe everyone's aspirational, everyone is, now connected and, probably have some sort of a connect with the business. So we are just trying to make sure that we can give the best and, take the best out of this tie-up.
Absolutely. मगर आमच्या लोकांक एक गजाल सांगचीशी दिसता की आमी जेन्ना इंडिया हेडा बरोबर टायअप केलो तेन्ना प्रत्येक खेपेक गोंयच्यो एक टिपिकल स्टोरीज ज्यो आसात त्यो नॅशनल मिडियाचेर तुमकां दिश्टी पडटाल्यो. आफ्टर दॅट टायअप गोंयकाराक जशी जाय, गोंयचो आवाज जसो आसपाक जाय त्या रितीन तुमकां ह्यो स्टोरी थी पळोवपाक मेळ्ळ्यो, तुमकां गोवा हेड पळोवपाक मेळ्ळे, ते प्रोग्राम्स पळोवपाक मेळ्ळे जे आमचे विशय आशिल्ले, आमचे प्रश्न आशिल्ले. आज परत एक फावट ह्या माध्यमांतल्यान जशें टीव्ही भितर जालें तशें प्रिंटा भितर करपाचो आमचो प्रयत्न आसा की गोंयकारांचो आवाज गोंयकारांच्या माध्यमांतल्यान ह्या येद्या व्हडल्या स्टेजीचेर वचपाचो आनी व्हरपाचो. तो जातलो आनी तातूंत भितर तुमची आमकां मदत पदोपदी मेळत रावतली इतलेंच मागता. अभिषेक जी, अशोक जी, thanks a lot for joining us in the studio. It was an absolute pleasure and honor talking to both.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Pramod.
Thank you.
Thank you.